can faith in Darren Rizzi decrease after this Monday Night Football game, tough matchup against Green Bay?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, if they go out and they lose 52-7 or something, like I think it's that, or if there's, some major mismanagement or something. Yeah. I will say to Rizzi's credit though, I think one of his like major strengths so far has been game management, like in clock management and strategy and all that stuff. So I'd be really surprised to see something like that kind of happen on that level. But I think it'd be tough. Like if you're being honest and logical about the situation, and you're literally talking about an offense now that has the offensive line and no other starters.
Yeah.
Like you kind of have to be a little bit realistic about that, I think, and kind of put something, something logical in your. It's just like if you go out and you lose 38-20 or whatever, okay, like you did it with nobody on the field. And I understand, like, everyone, no excuses. Dan Campbell doesn't make excuses, whatever. Like, Rizzi ain't making excuses. I'm not making excuses for Rizzi. I'm just saying, like, as I evaluate it, like, I'm not going to judge a Rouse's off of the state of an Aldi. Like, that's not where you went. Like, it's not fair. It's not fair to kind of do it that way. But, I mean, there are things in here that are going to be fair to judge. But, it can decrease. But I think it would be – I don't know what it would have to look like. I can't sit here and tell you, like – just offensively going into it, like my expectations are dirt low because you don't have possibly Alvin, you don't have Derek Carr, you don't have Chris Olave, you don't have Rashid Shaheed, you don't have Taysom Hill. Like it's a lot. It's a lot.
For the sake of expressing how bare the cupboards are, will Spencer Rattler be categorized as the third string quarterback?
I think that's disingenuous a little bit. Like they went to him the first time, and I think you're in like major spin zone at that point if you're trying to say like, well, no, they're on their third string quarterback.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
They would only use that term if he was your third choice and he's their second choice.
Yeah,
gotcha.
The other choice is available.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, that's major spin zone if you're going there. But yeah, look, not making excuses for him. Like he definitely can lose some stature here, and when we're sitting there, breaking down the game on Monday, Tuesday, I might feel completely different. But as I sit here now, it's like, damn, like all these guys are gone. Don't have your top two corners that you entered the season with. Like it is an extremely depleted team right now.
To emphasize how deflated everything is, the topic is, can faith in Darren Rizzi decrease after a loss at Green Bay? The topic is not, can Darren Rizzi improve his stock with a win at Green Bay? Because none of us are even treating that like it's possible. Obviously, he has way more to gain than he has to lose.
He goes into Green Bay.
If he goes
and
into
beats
Green Bay and wins, we're
Get
talking
serious
about
quick.
did he just
Yeah.
win the job?
Yeah.
So he has a lot more gain than to lose. We think he probably will lose. The only thing that's a negative for me is, Washington could have been a real signature win if they had pulled off that unthinkable comeback. That wasn't a signature win. The Rams are a good team that I think is going to end up winning that division. Fairly competitive, lost by a touchdown. Got down there and almost tied it toward the end. But if in the end they get one more win against the Raiders, then they also lose to Tampa Bay, and he finishes 4-4, and all his losses are to playoff teams, and all his wins are against bad teams. When you look at it as a whole, that's going to be like, so he just went 4-4 also. He only beat teams with losing records also. It'll be harder to make the case that, but no, I swear, if you were there and you were watching it, he revived this team. So I think any loss that makes it to where he could finish with like a 3-5 record or a 4-4 record as an interim really hurts his case. But no, I mean, it's going to take a miracle for this to be one of the ones he wins.
If the idea of like winning the job exists, like I feel like Washington probably, if I'm a general manager of an NFL team, the Washington game goes down as a positive in my book. And honestly, like seeing the things in the adjustments and how he overcame, how he kept the team together. I think the adversity quote in there was probably more positive than just like winning a narrow game. Like it felt like they won.
Made an impression. It made a very strong impression.
But like honestly, I don't think the idea of like winning the job even probably exists. Like I think you're probably gonna run your process, and I don't think there's anything where they're going into this and saying Darren Rizzi's the coach. They already made that mistake, and the last time by kind of having their everything figured out and knowing where they were going, going into it. I would imagine that they're going to just run it differently this time. But look, I think to this point he's done a pretty good job, and I think he has a nice resume to set down and to discuss. Does that mean he gets the job? No, I don't think that necessarily. Like, I think you run your process, and either he's the best candidate or he's not, and we'll kind of see at the end. But just even looking at it, like even if you just like winning the job, like I don't know, like I think you just have to run your process, like no matter what. Even if you won every game, I think you have to run your process. Like you owe it this time to the process to run a different process.
For sure. We've seen player energy be high kind of consistently throughout the Rizzi era, except for the first half of last week's game where it just completely just looked done.
I didn't like the energy in the Giants game either. We talked about that being a win that counts as a loss. Like so, that was a 1.5 games where it was pretty uninspiring. I think.
But if this team comes out and just looks completely lifeless just across the board, then I think that is where it's like, oh well, the fairy dust is ran out. It's kind of cooked.
To be fair, I feel like maybe the lifelessness was just more in
Their
inability
inability
to move the ball. Like
Yeah.
I don't think it was
Yeah.
like an energy thing. I think it was
Right.
It was an inability thing. And then once you cured the inability, you put a little
Everything.
Neosporin in that cut, like it changes things a little bit.
Yeah, coming out and showing life when you're down 17-0 against the Commanders showed that the life was always there.
Yeah.
It's the skill.
yeah. That
skill
was,
equation.
yeah. Giants felt flat.
Although the defense did play good
They did.
in that Giants game.